Because it was you, episode 20, I was waiting for you. By the time Chen Yu stumbled back to the dorm, his clothes were clinging to him, his hair dripping onto the floor, his hands shaking from cold and exhaustion. The hallway was quiet, lights buzzing faintly overhead. The world narrowed down to the pounding of his heart in his ears. He reached their door, fumbled the key, cursed under his breath. Then the door opened from the inside. Wei stood there, barefoot, in sweatpants and a hoodie. A scowl etched across his face. His eyes widened when he saw Chen, soaked and shivering. "Where the hell have you been?" Wei snapped, but his voice cracked halfway through, turning the anger into something that sounded too much like fear. Chen stared at him, unable to speak, unable to move. He didn't know what he was doing anymore. Didn't know why he kept trying to push everything away when it only left him emptier. Wei grabbed his wrist roughly and yanked him inside. "Idiot," he muttered, slamming the door shut behind them. Chen stumbled forward, dripping water onto the floor. Wei disappeared for a second, came back with a towel, thrust it into Chen's hands without a word. Chen wiped his face blindly. Wei hovered nearby, arms crossed tightly over his chest, jaw working like he was trying to hold back everything he wanted to say. Finally, Wei barked, "Sit down before you fall down." Chen obeyed without thinking, sinking onto the edge of his bed, the towel clutched tightly in his fists. Wei paced back and forth in front of him like a caged animal, glaring, running a hand through his hair. "You didn't answer your phone. You didn't tell anyone where you were going. You could have." He cut himself off, voice choking on the words. Chen looked up at him through damp lashes. "Why do you care?" Wei froze. For a moment, neither of them breathed. Then Wei let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Why do I care?" He crouched in front of Chen suddenly, so fast Chen flinched. Wei's face was inches from his own, eyes blazing. "Because you're not supposed to disappear on me." Wei's hands clenched into fists on his knees. "Because you're supposed to stay." Chen swallowed hard, his throat burning. "I didn't ask you to wait." Wei's jaw tightened. "I didn't wait because you asked me to." He leaned closer, so close Chen could feel his breath, could see the tremble in his hands. "I waited because I couldn't do anything else." Chen closed his eyes, a shaky breath escaping him. Wei's voice dropped to a whisper. "I was waiting for you." The words hung between them, too heavy, too raw. Chen didn't know how to hold them, didn't know how to hold anything anymore. So he did the only thing he could. He leaned forward, pressed his forehead to Wei's, their breaths tangling in the narrow space between them. Neither moved, neither dared. They just stayed there, breathing each other in. Two broken things, trying to figure out how to fit together without shattering more. Narrator. Sometimes the people we wait for are the ones who never asked us to. Sometimes the waiting is its own kind of love. A quiet, desperate hope that someday, when they finally stop running, they'll realize we were standing there all along. Chapter 37, Broken Compass. The next morning, the rain had finally stopped, but the dorm room still felt heavy, like the storm had left something behind. Wei sat on the windowsill, knees pulled up to his chest, gazing out at the soaked campus grounds. Chen lay on his bed, staring up at the ceiling, tracing invisible cracks only he could see. Neither spoke. Neither knew how to. There were words building up between them, dangerous and sharp, waiting for someone to be brave enough to let them loose. You ever feel like you're just stuck? Wei asked suddenly, his voice low, barely breaking the quiet. Chen turned his head slightly. Wei wasn't looking at him, just at the gray, dripping world outside. Like you keep moving but you're not getting anywhere, Wei continued. Like you're following a map you can't read anymore. Chen swallowed around the lump in his throat. Yeah, he said roughly. All the time. Wei let out a soft, bitter laugh. Feels like my compass is broken. Chen sat up slowly, planting his feet on the floor. Maybe it's not broken, he said after a moment. Wei turned to look at him finally. Eyes shadowed but open. Maybe you're just trying to go somewhere you don't really want to be, Chen finished. Voice quieter than before. Wei blinked, the words sinking into him slowly. For a long time, they just stared at each other. Two boys trying to find north again. Trying to find something worth following. Trying to find each other without admitting it out loud. Wei dropped his forehead to his knees, hiding his face. I'm tired, Chen. Chen's hands tightened on his knees. Me too. The words weren't dramatic, weren't declarations. They were just truths. Small and heavy and real. The kind of truths that didn't fix anything, but at least made you feel less alone carrying them. Wei raised his head again, messy hair falling into his eyes. So what do we do now? Chen stood up, crossed the room, and held out his hand. Wei looked at it like it was a lifeline he wasn't sure he deserved. But after a moment, he reached out and took it. Chen pulled him to his feet, steadying him when he swayed slightly. We figure it out, Chen said simply. Together. Wei stared at him, something breaking and healing at the same time behind his eyes. He nodded, wordless, and didn't let go of Chen's hand. Not right away. Maybe not for a long time. Narrator. Sometimes it's not about finding the right road. Sometimes it's about finding the right person to get lost with. Someone whose hand you can hold, even when you have no idea where you're going. Thank you for watching episode 19 of Because It Was You. If this story touched your heart, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Your support